Hey everyone, Thornton Smash here, resident Apex Predator, and today we're going to talk about one of the least favorite legends in the game. They've got the lowest pick rate, no one ever wants to play them, and there's also some bugs associated with the character. And who am I talking about? Well, of course, it's going to be Rampart. You know, that character that you never see in games because they're not very good, and that bugs happen, but no one really notices because, well, no one plays her. So let's go ahead and talk about what Respawn is planning on doing with the character, why she needs a buff, and what her current skill set is. So the first thing I'm going to jump right into is basically what her abilities are as of right now. So Rampart's tactical starting off is basically she's a modder. She can put more rounds into light machine guns. I'm talking the Spitfire and Devotion, and in my opinion that needs a rework, as a lot of other people agree with me. Light machine guns aren't very useful in the game as they currently stand, and as she can only modify those, it's very select on what she can pick up and use to be viable with a passive. Moving forward from her passive is going to be her tactical, and that's a little bit more useful here. Now you can put down barriers which will pop up with a shield that you can shoot through to cause more damage to the enemy, and while it is useful, they are fairly easy to be destroyed, and if you're trying to put one up, it's even easier to be destroyed. Now, a Reddit user went ahead and posted this clip, and there's a bug with it right now that still has not been fixed. You repeatedly cannot put down the shield, as you can see with him trying right here. That's a bug that, because no one ever plays her, hasn't really been talked about enough. Now, the last of her abilities is her ultimate, which has the potential to actually be really good. You can set down a turret, which does an insane amount of damage and has a crazy fire rate. Now, the problem with it is that while you're in it, you're a sitting duck, and it does take a second or two to actually get out of the seat. Now, when you're fighting a team, unless they're all grouped up right next to each other, most of the time you won't be able to take them out, because if someone's on the left, someone's in the middle, and someone's on the right, you may be able to take out one of them, but the other two will be able to hit you while you're a sitting duck and you cannot get out of the seat, making you basically trade off one for one and not really helping your team in any useful capacity. Mainly it can just be a deterrent so that people won't peek out from behind cover while you're blasting your gun at them. Now, recently Reddit has gone out with users saying that they want to see some kind of Rampart buff, and that makes sense. She's one of the least picked characters, and someone mentioned a pretty good idea. One of them was including her passive ability to basically get hop-ups on any weapon, as she is a modder, and that makes sense with her backstory and her character design. It would also make her viable from just using the light machine guns to almost using any gun and being somewhat viable as an option to help out your team. Now, Daniel Z. Klein, who is a senior game designer for Respawn, saw that suggestion, and he actually had two thoughts on it, and I'll go ahead and show that right here. His first was that having it be specific to LMGs is a good thing. It makes you think differently about when weapons you want to pick up in a game. He does acknowledge that LMGs are a sucky weapon class, but that's fine too. A character who can get a weapon class specific buff on ARs or SMGs would be broken. That's where I disagree with him. It's really the only thing that would make Rampart somewhat useful right now. And then he also says that finding the right tuning on it isn't easy. There's a tuning level where we make it so strong that it becomes mandatory to find and play with an LMG on Rampart, which I think would be sad. I think there's room for a little more power in there, but it'll never be a character defining passive. Now, this is concerning to me because it seems from Respawn's response that they don't have any intention of changing the character, making her any stronger, or increasing her passive to be more viable and useful in other situations, which is an issue because Rampart is picked the least out of every other legend, and there's a reason for it. She's not very good compared to any of the other legends, and it's a little confusing to me on why they continue to nerf good characters but not increase really their lower tier characters, and I'll give you an example of that. Let's take Pathfinder and Wraith, for example, who in prior seasons have been rated in S tier characters. They have very powerful abilities, and a lot of players like playing them because they're very fun to use. However, Respawn has noticed that they are quite powerful, and so have nerfed them a ton. We're talking they've changed their tactical, they've changed their ultimate, and they've even increased their hitbox sizes along with giving them a low profile so they take more damage. In contrast, let's go ahead and look at Loba, who was a very poor pick choice, but they've upgraded her black market so that she can now get infinite ammo from it, which was a nice step in the right direction. However, when you consider it to the vast amount of nerfs that their strong characters got, one tiny buff isn't making them equal. those Pathfinder and Wraith mains will still pick their characters because they're used to them, and even with a slight disadvantage to what they were before, they're still way more powerful than Loba or Rampart, and so no new blood is going to pick Rampart or Loba because the minor adjustments to them really still don't compete with a Pathfinder or Wraith. Now, I understand that Respawn from its comments are a little hesitant to make a character overpowered, and I get that. No one wants to add a character that just decimates everyone, but it's okay to go a little overboard with a character and make them stronger. That way, at least people will play the character while it's in its buff state, understand the character, and get a little appreciation, so that when you do nerf it and scale it back to the correct terms after testing it out, people will still pick and play Rampart. As it currently stands, doing itty-bitty adjustments and then hoping that people will play them more isn't going to work out. Players do not want to switch up from what they're used to for a character that is still way below balance in the game. That's pretty much going to be the video today. We can expect a minor Rampart buff in the future, but it's not going to be groundbreaking or anything to write home about. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I come out with Apex content on the daily. In the top right, you're even going to notice a Watson should get buffed video, regardless of whether or not pro players use her, so I appreciate any feedback on that as well. Let me know in the comments what your opinions are with Rampart and whether or not she should get buffed. I respond to every single comment, so I'm always interested to hear what the community has to say. If you have any other legends that you'd like to see buffed, let me know and I can maybe do a video on that. Until next time, legends, keep slaying in the Outlands.